Okay, here we go. Last video. All right, so again, we're going to be solving this equation. We'll begin by looking for a common denominator, and because this factors, we will factor out that y so that we can find our common denominator. So our common denominator has to have a y factor, and it has to have a y minus 1 factor, and that takes care of this one as well. All right, so let's multiply through each of my terms with this LCD. When I multiply times the front one, everything cancels away. Boom, boom. Leaves me with 2. Minus, when I go to multiply times 1, nothing cancels. So I've got the whole thing, which is y squared minus y if I were to distribute it. So I've got minus, and I'm going to put this in parentheses, y squared minus y, because it's a subtraction. Is equal to, and then when I multiply times this last one, the y plus 1's cancel, and that leaves me with a y right there, so that's going to be 2y. So I'm going to put y squared minus 1 here. So now, because this is minus this whole thing, it's minus this, I need to distribute this minus sign. So I have 2 minus y squared plus y is equal to 2y. I have a y squared, so I want to get everything on one side. It's negative, so I'm going to move everything to this side. So I'll get a positive y squared. Subtract my y, that gives me a positive y, and subtract my 2. Everything's moved over. It's equal to 0. Factor, that's going to be y plus 2, y minus 1 equals to 0. So y plus 2 is 0, y is negative 2, and y minus 1 is 0, y is equal to 1. All right, now we're looking for extraneous roots. What if I put a negative 2 in? So it's negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3, that's okay. If I put a negative 2 in here, you can actually see it better here. This is a negative 2, and this is negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3, so this is going to be a 6. So that's okay. So this is acceptable. Boom, answer. What if we put a 1 in? Oh, we can see it right there. 1 minus 1 is a 0, and I can't have division by 0. So this is extraneous for the answer, and only y equals negative 2 is my answer. For example C, I have a 3x plus 2 and x minus 2, and this 3x squared minus 4x minus 4. So I need to factor this, or at least try to, and I see it's got a 3 in the front, so I'm going to need to do the long AC. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, that's negative 6 and 2. Split the middle term, group, factor, and I end up with x minus 2 times 3x plus 2. So I'm going to write that right here. So must factor. All right, so my LCD needs to have this factor in it. So it needs to have a 3x plus 2. It needs to have an x minus 2 in it. And then as I get here, it needs to have these two at the same time in it, which it does. So that checks out over there. All right, so I'm ready to multiply. So my 3x plus 2's are going to cancel, and I'm left with x minus 2 right there. So that's going to give me x squared minus 2x. Then I go to take my LCD times the second fraction. The x minus 2's cancel, and it leaves me with 3. Oh, this is a little tougher. It's going to leave me with my numerator times 3x plus 2. Well, I'm going to need to double distribute this when I multiply it. So I'm going to get x times 3x is 3x squared. X times 2 is going to be plus 2x. 3 times 3x is going to be plus 9x. And 3 times 2 is going to be plus 6. All right, so now I have equals for here. And I'm going to take this, multiply it here, and the x minus 2 and the 3x plus 2 cancel, and a little bit easier, that ends up being negative 2x. All right, again, I have x squared, so I'm going to group them over here and get a 0 on the other side. So that's this and this. I have a minus 2x plus 2x and a plus 9x. I'm just going to go ahead and put that there. So that was this, this, and this, and then plus 6 is equal to negative 2x. So add my 2x over here, and I get 4x squared plus 11x plus 6 is equal to 0. All right, so now I need to factor it, and I'm going to have to do, again, another long AC. So that's 24. I'm seeing 3 and 8. So I'm going to break this up. So I get 4x squared plus 3x plus 8x plus 6. Group, group. So that's x times 4x plus 3 plus 2 times 4x plus 3. And that becomes 4x plus 3 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. So I'm going to end up with two answers. I've got the 4x plus 3 is equal to 0, and the x plus 2 is equal to 0. So 4x is negative 3, and x is negative 3/4, and over here x is negative 2. I want to make sure that I check them. I put my negative 2 in up here, and it's still got its negative 4. If I put it in here, negative 6 plus 2, that's also negative 4. And I can see in factored form is the easier place to substitute. It does not make either one of those 0. The 3/4, if we multiply that, it's going to give us negative 9/4 plus 2, and that also is acceptable. So I get two answers for that one. And I am going to let you do D as a video check. And that's it.